You can look back and say, yeah, this is something that actually made a difference, something that changed the direction of science.
My innovation is metabolomics. I helped create the field, and metabolomics is the study of small molecules. Small molecules are the things that we sometimes read about on the side of our cereal boxes. There are things like carbohydrates and fats and amino acids. There are actually hundreds of thousands of them in your body, and they're the bricks and mortar of the cell and of your tissues and of all the organs. Without the small molecules, we wouldn't exist. For Canada, it was a way of building not only the encyclopedias that now everyone uses to understand the molecular world, but building the infrastructure, the tools, the processes, the workflows, the equipment, the concepts. And these are all online, they're all public. In creating this field, we've not only launched the equivalent of what was called the Human Genome Project, but we call it the Human Metabolome Project. This is a purely and truly Canadian innovation. People use metabolomics to diagnose diseases. They use it to identify risk chemicals, things that might be harmful, whether it's drugs or foods or contaminants and pollutants. It's also used in agriculture, veterinary applications, and human health applications. It's changed how we think about living systems. It's changed how we explore the inside of the cell or inside of the body. And that's giving the opportunity to detect diseases before they really start or manifest. There's about $5 billion a year spent on metabolomics research worldwide. You don't realize you've invented a field until long after. But a national recognition, it's really nice. It's a great Canadian story. It was originated in Canada. It's a gift that Canada gave to the world, and it's made science better around the world.
Imagine a 40-foot shipping container that is fitted out with indoor farming technology inside that allows communities to grow food locally 365 days of the year from minus 40 degrees Celsius to positive 40 degrees Celsius. Our innovation is modular vertical farming solutions. So what we mean by that is we are aiming to support local food production no matter what the climate is or where you are in the world. We started with shipping containers because it is the most convenient way to get a container of that size to various locations, whether it's by road, rail, or even barge. We have a network of over 1,000 farms globally. In Canada, we started in a lot of remote and Indigenous communities. There's about 3 or 4 racks on either side, and there are shallow ponds. So these shallow ponds, what we call deep water culture, and it has a variety of rafts that float on the water, and that's where the plants grow. Grocer is a social enterprise where the focus is the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. The crops that are grown in there is typically leafy greens, herbs, and other types of produce that grows more quickly. So you can imagine from seed to harvest for a lettuce, it's about 6 weeks, compared to it's typically longer if it's grown in field. Furthermore, it uses a lot less water than compared to the same amount of produce grown in conventional in-soil agriculture. You're typically looking at about 95% less water. You also are dealing with a contained environment, so typically deal with fewer pests than you would with traditional agriculture. And you're also using fewer herbicides or pesticides. My business partner, Corey Ellis, and I have been on this journey for the past 10 years, and it's through a lot of resilience and grit that we are where we are today. It takes a village to build an organization like ours, and it wasn't just Corey and myself building this together. It's a team of about 35 people in Ottawa and one in the United States now too. So I want to celebrate everyone who has helped us get to where we are today and celebrate the impact that we've been able to have together.
My innovation has transformed the way we now treat people with type 2 diabetes and people living with obesity to lower blood sugar safely, to achieve unprecedented weight loss with medical therapy. I'm an endocrinologist. I study hormones or messengers that go from one part of our body to another. And some of these messages arising from our gut communicate with the pancreas to regulate insulin, to control our blood sugar, and communicate with the brain to control our appetite, resulting in weight loss. We have figured out a way, together with the pharmaceutical industry, to make these messages into medicines, which we now call glucagon-like peptide 1 medicines. The use of these medicines is associated with reduced rates of heart attacks, strokes, cardiovascular death, all-cause mortality, metabolic liver disease, kidney disease, and a range of other ailments associated with the development of obesity or type 2 diabetes. One of the greatest joys and goals that one can accomplish as a clinician scientist is the alleviation of human suffering. As these medicines become more widely available, it is estimated that we will save millions of lives over time by preventing the very serious complications that have normally been associated with living with type 2 diabetes or living with obesity. I'm extremely fortunate to be recognized here for the science that we have done that really has spanned 40 years and involved not just me, but really dozens of students, research fellows, scientists, collaborating colleagues, and I'm very grateful to be able to participate in this story.
The goal is to bring war-affected children onto the research team to be co-researchers. Children are victims in conflict, they're witnesses of conflict, and they're also participants in conflict. It was in 2004 in Sierra Leone, just after the Civil War, and I was engaging in a research project on former child soldiers, and quickly realized the importance of actually bringing young people onto the research team as co-researchers. I was working with a local NGO, and we were trying to document children's lives, both before, during, and after the war. We were hoping to have young people speak to us. Currently, there are 520 million children that are living in conflict zones in situations of extreme violence and deprivation. Children being affected by war is a global phenomenon. Ukraine and Gaza and Sudan, Myanmar. And a lot of children talk about the fact that although the war ends, there's a war after the war. There's obviously outrage when we hear about children being implicated in conflict, but we don't often hear their voices. And so I feel that it's important for me to be able to gather those voices so that they're heard and that those stories really matter. Research can be very hierarchical, that you have the researcher going in, collecting data, and then leaving. And for me, it was really important to kind of flip that around. The goal is not extraction. The goal is to actually be working with communities and building relationships. And youth researchers are part of that. One of the impacts is shifting trajectories. You know, young people being on a research team provides them with all kinds of different sets of skills. And I've had the privilege of working with the same group of youth in northern Uganda for 11 years now. And I've been able to see the impact over time. They're able to grow and to flourish intellectually and in terms of their life course as well. I'm incredibly grateful for this award. It means so much to my work, to me, to the young people that I work with. And I'd like to also acknowledge my incredible research partners who I've been working with over the past 12 years now, who are from Watikigen in northern Uganda.
When I was training as a medical student in Ottawa, I would have never believed that I would have to be writing prescriptions for housing. My innovation is at the intersection of hospitals and community. And what it's all about is keeping people alive through housing interventions and prescribing housing as the most powerful prescription that we can have at the hospital and healthcare level. When you look at the data around people who are chronically unhoused in Canada, which I think is a moral failure for us as a country, when you're seeing the rates of homelessness double in the last 4 years across almost every major city in the country, it comes with dramatic and serious health implications. Homelessness is a real thief. It robs people of 20 to 30, 40 life years. We had 234 patients in the downtown core that made over 15,000 emergency department visits in 1 year. It really drove us as an organization to partner with the City of Toronto, with community partners, to essentially donate a parking lot to the City of Toronto for $1 to have a new model of housing and healthcare that ensured that 51 human beings would not have to languish in a hospital bed or cycle through the emergency department. To me, the innovation of the social medicine housing model is also integrating and wrapping supports around people. So it's not just housing alone. The social medicine housing model ensures that there are supports there 24/7, from psychiatry to mental health and addictions and primary care. When you look at the first year results of Dunn House, we saw a 52% reduction in emergency department visits. There was over $2 million in cost avoidance and savings from Dunn House in year one. And we need more of these innovations that are rooted in partnership, that are rooted in data and science, but ultimately around compassion and human dignity in the healthcare system. And this innovation wouldn't have been possible without the range of partners and the deep relationships that have been able to form over the last 5 to 7 years. This recognition is one of the greatest privileges of my life and career.